everybody. I'm so excited to be doing the Coaching to Flourish. I'm live today with Raj Anderson. This is, whenever I get to do this with you, it just brings me so much joy for my entire week. So Raj, thank you for being on with me today. I'm excited for the questions that we have. I don't know what they are, everybody. So I'm going to be going along with all of you, and I'm excited to answer these today and dive in. So what kind of questions do we have today?
Thanks, Ashley. It's good to see you. It's good to have Ashley on, by the way. I'm excited to kind of chat with you. Before we get into the questions, though, it's 1st of November today. I noted it's 11/1/22. So are you ready for fall, Ashley, or what intentions do you normally set?
Yeah, oh, that's a good question. It's interesting. This week is actually really warm here. It's like 75. So it doesn't feel like fall in the Midwest. But the last couple of weeks have been a really lovely transition. The trees have been changing. So there's been a lot of reflection on my part. And I was actually just praying this morning of like, okay, whatever November has, like I'm here for it. I surrender to it and I'm excited for it. And so I think it's just stepping in and just being willing to be up for whatever November has. And just, I love the season of gratitude, which I wish was all the time. Can we say every month is a month of gratitude? But I love just that kind of shift for a lot of others as well. What about for you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm in Florida. So, I put this on today. I'm like, this is very summary, but I'm like, I'm in Florida, so it doesn't really feel like fall. Yet I do like to think of November as gratitude month and setting intentions. And one of the things I'm looking at is kind of November journaling questions around gratitude. Ooh. So similar to you, I do like to practice gratitude on a daily basis, but I think calling it gratitude month helps us be a bit more intentional, doesn't it?
Yeah, as a collective, there's something to a body of people stepping into that together.
I agree. So I think this leads us nicely into the first question, and I'll share with you, and then I'll give you a minute, Ashley, because I know you haven't seen the questions before. So this has come in from, I'm not sure who, I suspect a coach. You are brainstorming with a client and you need to recommend 2 daily morning practices to get your client's day started on the right foot. What would you pick?
We're recommending to the client?
So like a brainstorming, back and forth brainstorming activity.
There's a lot of things that are coming to mind. Raj, do you mind starting this one off, and I'll kind of feed off of that to give me a chance to get some of my thoughts.
Yeah, of course. So the challenge for me was holding back on 2, if I'm honest with
That's my feeling. I'm like, how do we choose 2?
So I think morning practices for me, 2 that I might be picking or brainstorming with, I'm going to go with setting an intention or a goal for the day. That is one. And then the second one, and I know not everyone is experienced in meditation, so I'm going to say meditation / mindfulness. And what I mean by that, often when I'm working with clients, we have a look at maybe not having your phone right next to you. So for me, my husband, last probably 3 or 4 years, we don't plug our phone next to the bed. It is plugged in the laundry room, so that you don't like roll over in the morning and pick up the phone, start scrolling on social media or looking at the news or looking at emails. So for me, that kind of connects to just waking up and being still.
Yeah. What
else would you kind of add to that, Ashley?
Yeah, that's great. I would add gratitude, actually. Even just 3 things that you are grateful for from the day before or when you woke up in the morning. And it can be simple things, which I think you and I have talked about before, the power of gratitude on a live previously. The other first one that came to mind was similar to meditation, but it's just like sitting in solitude and being with ourselves. So not having technology, not having anything in front of us. For me, it's I do some prayer and kind of meditate on some verses from the Bible, but it could be just being present with yourself with no noise around you. I'll like come in, I'll go make coffee and then I'll light some candles and let my coffee sit and just sit. And they say like 12 minutes of time in solitude where you don't have any distractions and you're just with yourself. One, it brings up things within yourself that are probably worth looking at and loving on. And it also gives room for creativity because we constantly have stuff in our ears and we're looking at things. And so it gives us that space similar to meditation of just like being. And it's been super life-changing for me this summer to incorporate that into my morning practice of solitude, which I didn't realize. At first it was really hard too, because your mind's going everywhere and you're like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And so and then you're eventually like, wow, I really love those 12 minutes. That went by really fast. I think I need an hour. So
I agree. And sometimes part of the brainstorm as I'm listening to you, it might be as I work with clients that they've decided to wake up 20 minutes earlier. Because I hear all the time, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to fit this in or do this or self-care. And you're talking about 12 minutes. It's not that much really, is it?
No, and it makes such a difference. Yeah, it could just be somebody who even wakes up 15 minutes early, goes to another room, sits themselves down and just lets themselves just be present with themselves. It'd be really impactful.
What changes have you seen in yourself since you've been incorporating these practices?
Well, initially I recognized just how chaotic my mind was, how I was so used to listening to a podcast or having music on or being in a meeting or, so to be in silence was very telling for me of just what was kind of going on in my mind that I didn't really realize. It also showed some desires too of just maybe some things that, how do I put it? Okay, one of the things I remember when I first started, I was like, oh, okay, I need to get this for the house. I need to get this. I need to get, and my mind was going and I was like, wait, oh, I don't need these things. I mean, it'd be nice to have that dresser in my bedroom, but why is my mind automatically going to this space of like need and consume? And so how do I release that desire and just allow myself, like deny myself of that in this moment and just kind of come back to contentment and peacefulness? So I've noticed it's calmed that down, and it's calmed down just, it slowed me down, I even think, in conversation and in my days as well, of just kind of like, okay, there's like restfulness within the fullness of my life. And I think solitude has contributed a lot to that. What about you? What has meditation contributed to your life?
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah. I think even more than meditation, it is what you're talking about, being able to be present, the mindfulness piece. And sometimes we all fall off, don't we? I have to catch myself on time where I've gone maybe a few too many days without journaling, or I do like to set 3 goals at the beginning of the day. What are my priorities? What are my goals? Because otherwise it can feel overwhelming, or your to-do lists feel too long. So I notice a big difference in myself when I don't do any of these things, or something is falling off, or for a few days maybe I've fallen off of gratitude, or as I said, setting that intention. I show up differently. I'm grumpier. I have less patience. I probably have less tolerance. Maybe I am being more judgy with self and others as well. And I find through meditation, and I'll come to mindfulness in a minute, stress or anxiety can minimize,
Yeah.
or things that seem bigger than they really are when you're tired, or you're not taking care of yourself, you're not putting your own oxygen mask on first, like they say on the flights. I can see where I have not been taking care of myself very well affects all of that energy and how I show up. And then I think mindfulness, even throughout the day, like I have a lot of stimulating things around me in my office. I actually have a shelf up here. I'll show you all some other time. I'm not going to get up now, with books. And they have different quotes on them, inspirational quotes. And sometimes in between meetings, I will just stop to look around my office, or step outside and really look at the flowers, or really look at the trees, because we kind of delete so many things around us. What are your thoughts on that, Ashley?
Yeah, I love that. It really, one thing I was gathering from what you're saying is just this being in tune with what's really going on for yourself. You know, I think sometimes I can be reactionary to something, and there's actually something else that is the root of whatever that might be. So giving myself space to be there. And like you're saying, it also takes you outside of yourself. So in that solitude too, there's an awareness of, you know, for me, a creator, but also like other people and what is around me, and how can I be in tune to that? And like you're saying, in nature, and how do we be present, not just in the few minutes of meditation, mindfulness, or solitude, but in every day. There's so much that is in nature and in the world to offer things to us that we can offer back with, just a lot of gratitude and love. But we need to slow down a lot of times to be able to see that and recognize it. So that's really beautiful, Raj.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm going to move us on to the next question, see what your thoughts are on this one. How does one begin to develop a healthy money mindset?
Interesting. That's really good. This is something that I feel like I've been learning over the last couple of years. How to like be a good steward of what I have, and how does one create a healthy money mindset? We actually have a workshop on this. There's somebody from CTEDU that did a workshop. So if you're interested, we do have a recording of this workshop, where we talk specifically around beliefs around money, and fears, and that there's a lot of emotions that are actually tied with finances, and why we operate the way that we do. And so creating a healthy mindset around it, asking yourself some of those questions initially, I think would be helpful, which this is not my expertise, so I don't have too much into this, but like when you do think about finances, you know, do you operate more out of a mindset of lack or abundance? What emotions arise when you do think about your finances? What are your goals with your finances? What are the habits that have been a part of your life? You know, I think accountability is great, and creating systems. There's so many things out there for people to follow as well. What would you say around this, Raj?
I think for me, there's kind of the twinfold piece here. There's the being, and then the doing. Of course, the learning's there as well. So you've got all of the things that you want to look at as in terms of systems. So, you know, as an entrepreneur as well, in your business, and systems, and, you know, how are you managing your books, and who is helping you with that, and what support systems do you have in place? And I've worked with a lot of kind of new coaches and entrepreneurs, and I've been there myself, where it can be really scary and kind of, especially coming to like tax season, and overwhelming and daunting. So I think there's all of those things where we feel out of control, we might not have the right systems in place, we might be afraid to ask for help. And then there is that inner work for me, and I've done a lot of this work on myself in terms of relationship with money. You know, what does money mean to you? What does, and I'm throwing out coaching questions here, and what does money represent for you? What emotion does money bring up? What is that lack mindset, as you're referring to? One of the things I've done, and I have done this work with other people as well, is looking at limiting beliefs around money. And although this is not, we're not therapy or counseling, there is something in limiting beliefs that have come from who we are, culture and upbringing and things that we've heard people say. And, you know, I grew up with hearing money doesn't grow on trees, and you had to be really strict with money, and you just didn't just spend money idly. You know, I have worked with people where their thoughts around money has been the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, money is the root of all evil, you know, really strong beliefs around money. So I encourage anyone to really think about, what are my beliefs? What do I really think about money? And does money feel out of reach to me? Because then you stay in that lack mindset. I'll stop a minute because I'm throwing out a lot there around limiting beliefs and those kinds of things.
No, stop.
What's interesting to you about it, actually?
What'd you just say?
What's most interesting to you in what I was sharing there?
Well, I think I think what was really shocking to me was the emotional piece when I had taken that workshop with CTEDU, and she was kind of talking about specific emotions and what that typically means in relationship to finances and things like that. And she had it so brilliantly, so I don't want to take away from that, but I think it was one of the first times I realized, like, whoa, that's why I'm operating in this way. Interesting. And I didn't realize I had fear around finances, or, you know, so how to let that go. And so you mentioning that as well, it's just, I think that's one of the most interesting things that I think a lot of times we only look at systems and we don't look at the root. And the root is important, because especially if we have certain habits with finances, with little, if we're given a lot, it's going to be similar unless we understand what is really going on in our relationship to money.
Yeah. And that reminds me, when I've done that work with clients, is looking at relationship, is looking at values. You know, where do your values sit in line with how you feel about money? Self-worth. I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs and women in particular around self-worth. And then guilt. I've experienced guilt around having abundance, both having it and not having it. So not having it and launching business and feeling guilty that I'm not contributing in the way that I should be to the household, and then feeling guilty when I had a lot of it or have it and I'm doing well. And incongruence with values, have a high value of humility. Yet at the same time, I like to be a thought leader and work with women on shining their light. So we have to work through some of those incongruences. And how is being humble here serving me in being inspirational? And I think last bit I would say on that, for me, and for anyone who has launched their own coaching business or going out on their own, is to really work on self-trust. Because the work that I've done on self-trust helps me to stay grounded in knowing that I've got it. Okay, if this contract isn't coming here, I trust myself that I will find a way to make that money. And that helps with those money fears.
Yeah. Ooh. Write down some of these questions and answer them.
So journaling questions for everyone, and check out that wonderful workshop. So I'm going to switch gear now. So who are some famous life coaches that you as a life coach follow? I'll throw in I follow thought leaders as well, so maybe we want to add that to that question.
Raj Anderson. No, but I do. I was just looking at your LinkedIn the other day. There's an incredible video on there, by the way, everybody that's watching.
Thank you. Thank you. She's going to give me a big head here today.
This is a really great question. You know, I'm really grateful to, even though, so working on this team and having leadership with, you know, John being a leader in my life, you, all these other coaches, it's really remarkable. I feel like it's just such a gift to be around people that are seeking to transform the world by curiosity and empathy and love and care. And so I feel like that's my greatest influence when it comes to, I'm not a huge like famous person follower. I would say if I was to choose somebody who I've really enjoyed following and getting to know, and I don't even know if she would coin herself as a life coach, but Marie Forleo, I think, is really awesome.
Yeah.
I really just think she just seems like a rad person and like very genuine and a go-getter, but is very humble as well from what it seems. And so she's somebody who I've been really encouraged by. Her book, Everything is Figure Outable, was a really great read. We did that as a book club with CTEDU, and I was like, this woman just is rocking it. She's really thinking through things. She's diving deep. She's so good with people. She's just so curious and caring in her connections with people. So she would be somebody who I would say that I enjoy following. But I can't say that I spend too much time on that, just because I'm surrounded by it all day long, and it's incredibly influential being just here. So what about you?
I agree with you. I think everyone should check out you know, the podcasts and webinars and graduate stories. We've got some great leaders, haven't we, part of Coach Training EDU.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And John's so well read, and he always has brilliant insights as well. I like to gather thoughts and ideas. So as I said, I love to follow lots of thought leaders. I mean, if I'm thinking of life coaches specifically, for me, I want to be Marshall Goldsmith when I grow up. I absolutely adore Marshall Goldsmith. I follow him on LinkedIn. His books, John talks about them. What got you here won't get you there. His new ones just come out, Your Earned Life. And for me, he's like a real role model of, you know, what it is to be a great coach. So I've got Marshall Goldsmith. If anyone wants to check out Fred Kaufman, I think Fred Kaufman is brilliant too. And he's done a book on conscious business coaching. And I have never seen anyone do direct communication as wonderfully as Fred Kaufman. So I've learned so much from him as well. And for anyone who's a Spanish speaker, Fred is bilingual. So, you know, they can follow him in Spanish too. I also love Tony Robbins. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but he is mine. And I have seen him live do the inner critic live at a show in front of 10,000 people with one person. And it was mind-blowing and life-changing the way he did that tool on stage. Super inspirational. I've been to his events, I've walked over fire and everything there. I get really excited, so super passionate. And there's some men there, but women as well. I love Mel Robbins, 5 Second Rule. Mel Robbins is a brilliant thought leader. Brené Brown, her work, and you and I have talked about that, Ashley.
Yes.
Her work.
Can't forget Brené Brown. Yes,
exactly. Phenomenal work on vulnerability and courage and dare to lead. And as a leader who does executive coaching and leadership work as well, I do like Simon Sinek's work. If anyone wants to listen to Simon Sinek on Find Your Why. And then spiritually, I love to listen to, if anyone wants to check out Sadhguru, SADH Guru, just on his life philosophy, and he's so chill. He has so many words of wisdom about letting go and reducing stress and what's really, really important. And I've learned so much just doing some of his meditations and listening. So quite a comprehensive list there. I'm sure there's a few others.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is there somebody else you thought of?
Yeah, how could I leave off Walt Disney, really? Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Disney fan. And I have a huge poster in front of me of Walt Disney and his 4 C's of leadership. And for me, for a very long time, I like to set an intention in the morning, and I like to ask myself a question. So maybe this kind of loops back to number 1. A reminder will pop up in my phone, and it's a question for me. And for a long time, I asked myself, I change it regularly. The question was, what would Walt do? So if anyone has seen Walt Disney's on Netflix, the Imagineering series, Walt didn't live to see Walt Disney World, and he passed away. And when all the leaders were going into the office and they felt demotivated and lost without him, they would ask each other, what would Walt do? And when I've asked myself that question, Walt would not take no for an answer. Walt would be courageous. Walt would seek things even when he thought they were impossible, because they all started with a mouse. So yeah, I adore Walt Disney.
That's cool. I love that, Raj.
Anything else you would add, Ashley? I know we're almost at time.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. I think that's amazing. That's a great list.
Yeah. So maybe we want to leave people with a coaching question or something today. Do you have anything you would like to give people to reflect on?
Yeah. Ooh. I think the question of, what can I add into my morning routine, or what do I need to remove from my morning routine to be successful in the month of November?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think we've got a few seconds left. We're going to close out now, but we just invite you all to keep sending us your questions, your thoughts, and probably see John next week. If not, it'll be me and Ashley again, or me and Brittany, and we look forward to supporting you and answering your questions.
Yes, thank you, Raj, so much. These were such good questions. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a beautiful start to your November, and we look forward to seeing you later.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.